to. Okay, are we ready, folks?
Ready.
Yes.
All right. Welcome to Head Talks. And I do mean Head Talks.
That's beautiful.
Because today, what are we doing? Yes, we're doing the human brain. And someone challenged me by saying, how are you going to make that fun? So I decided I was going to take on that challenge, and I am going to make it fun. All right?
Anybody can do it good.
If anyone can do it, thank you, Pat. If anyone can do it, it's me. I'm going to try to make the study of the human brain fun for you today. All right, so let's get started. There's no review because it's a brand new series, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we don't have a review. Today what we're going to talk about is basic functions and perception. See, doesn't that sound fun already? But it's beautiful, yeah. So I tried to find, I didn't get any, gross looking anatomy photos for you. I'll have all that for you next week. Okay, so I just try to get some pretty things. So before we get into it, I thought what I wanted to do was, let's get a couple of misconceptions out of the way. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, who believes that we only use 10% of our brain's full capacity?
True.
That's what a lot of
I
people
used to
say.
think so. That's true, isn't it? No.
All right, so a lot of people think that. It is not true.
Oh, it's not
It's
true.
not true.
It's a myth. Yes, it's a myth. Now, no one's exactly sure where the myth originates, but they blame poor William James, who's one of my favorite philosophers. And it was just a misunderstanding of something that he had written. All right, he was saying, does it ever feel like you're not at full capacity, that something's missing? But he never said that we only use 10% of our brain. In fact, of course, that was William James. That was early 1900s, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everybody reads William James here. Yes.
It was an author, too.
What, Effie?
I thought he wrote some novels, too, didn't he?
No.
No, William James is, he started out as a psychologist, and then he became a philosopher.
Okay.
But he wrote, like the variety of religious experiences. He wrote some really wonderful books. William James. All right, so that is a myth. We now have the benefit of what to get answers to questions like that?
Technology.
Exactly, Peggy. We have the advantage of technology, and so now we can use MRIs to find out what is going on in the brain when the brain is stimulated. And what we're finding out is that every part of the brain can be activated according to the stimuli. Here is a shot of a human brain with low stimulation, right? Mm-hmm. Not a lot going on there, correct? Mm-hmm. All right, so here is a shot of a brain with high stimulation.
Whoa.
All right. Is there any
That's us.
part, what?
That's us. That's us.
That's us. Is there any part of the brain that's not being utilized?
Nope.
No, every part of the brain, all the percentage of the brain, your whole brain, you have access to your whole brain. So don't let anybody tell you, or don't be thinking that you've only got 10%. All right? You're all at 100% capacity. Did Dennis say something funny that I missed? What'd you say, Dennis? Share with the group here, Dennis.
Yeah, don't ever let anybody think that you're a pea brain.
Yes, exactly. Yes, don't ever let anybody think you're a pea brain. You're not. You're definitely not. And I'm hoping to prove that to you during this series. All right, so that is a debunked myth.
Thank you.
You are welcome. All right, I have another one for you. I've got one more for you, actually. Okay, have you heard that we are either, we have a strength in our left brain or a strength in our right brain? Your right brain or your left brain. You know, I'm a right brain person or I'm a left brain person. How many have heard that?
I've heard that.
You've heard that. Everybody's heard that. All right, and we know what right brain and left brain people are dominant in, correct? So if you're left brain, what are you?
Oh my God. They're all those things.
Scientific, David, that's correct. If you're right brain, what are you?
Artistic.
Artistic. Yes, that is what we have been led to believe.
Well, that's not true.
That also is a myth.
Yeah.
That is a myth. Again, if you've got stimulation in your brain, how much of your brain, what side of your brain is being activated? All of it.
Yeah.
All of your brain. All right? So if you're doing something creative and artistic, would that take some kind of mathematical skill in order to create that?
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yes. If you're balancing your checkbook, do you sometimes get creative? Yeah, sometimes we get creative when we're doing things like that. So that too is a myth. That is not true. So I guess what I want you to know is that you have full use of your brain all the time. Okay? It's there for you when you want it. Now there is something that you need to know that is true about that, and that is that the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body, all right? And the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. And do you know why they think that is? That it developed that way? The reason they think, hey John, you want to give that door a tug for me, please?
Yep.
The reason they think that is that, you know, when we were out in the wild trying to survive, if something was coming at you from this way, you need to exit.
That way.
Yeah. So if it's coming at you from the right side, you need to step to the left and get out of there. Who knows if that's true? I don't know if that's true, but that's what they're saying. Okay, so these are parts of the brain. I guess I do have kind of like icky slides for you. So these are parts of the brain, and we're going to go over them, you know, in a very kind of fun and interesting way. But it is the brain that controls what?
Everything.
Everything. Everything. The brain controls everything. Do you remember when we were doing Egypt mummification?
Yeah.
Remember mummification?
Yeah.
And they had the jars for all of the vital organs. What was missing? The brain. You all remember that, yes. Yeah, the brain was missing. Why? Why did they not?
It was
useless.
important.
Yeah, they thought it was just a mold to keep your head in that
In
shape.
place.
Yeah, just a mold to keep your skull from caving in. But as it turns out, now we know that it controls absolutely everything. Now, there are different developments of the brain, right? The brain evolved over years. We saw that during our series on human evolution. And what you're looking at right now is called the primal brain. The primal brain. What does that sound like?
Beginning.
The beginning, yeah, primal. What do you think of? What does that emote in you when you hear the word primal?
Old.
Oh,
Old, very old.
Old, yes. And does it sound maybe aggressive and,
Oh, yeah.
yes, so reacting on instinct, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, just responding, reacting. That is exactly what your primal brain does. It is the part of the brain that acts on instinct. You've heard of fight or flight?
Yes.
Yes. Where's that coming from? Where does that originate from?
Primal brain.
Yes, Dennis, the primal brain. That's where it comes from. And it gives us the ability to react if we need to escape, if we need to survive. This gives us our survival techniques. Now, eventually, over time, as the brain developed, we got, some more civilized thinking. So we have a modern brain and we have a primal brain. The primal brain does what? It's for survival, yes. It's reactive, okay? It has regression. What about our modern brain? What does our modern brain do?
Solves problems.
Storing the memory.
Yes, yes. This is your executive functioning part of the brain, correct? Yes, so what do you need to rely on?
Memory.
It depends, doesn't it? It depends on what the situation is.
Yeah, that's where all the reasoning is.
The reasoning is in the modern brain. It's in the frontal lobe, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so you're right, John. Yep, that's where reasoning is, that's where problem solving is. That's where we have our self-control is in the frontal brain, or what we're calling the modern brain, the brain that developed. All right, and our primal brain is in the back. It's in the back here. So if something happens to us, okay, something's coming at us, or something is occurring, where does the information register first, do you think? Yes, exactly, in the primal brain. That's exactly right. So if something is happening, if something is threatening or insulting, or something's happening that's upsetting you, it's going to hit the primal brain first. All right? And if it hits the primal brain first, well, then you might have a reaction like this. Do you think the dog should get out of there? I was questioning the dog's judgment. I think
It's a poodle.
yes, it's a poodle. Yes, exactly. Yes. So this is a primal
I
reaction.
wanna know what she's looking at.
She's very upset about something. So that is a primal reaction. And have you ever heard the expression count to 10?
Yeah.
Count to 10, and that actually does work. Because what happens if you count to 10?
Calm down.
Calm down, I guess. You quiet it down.
If you count to 10,
You get distracted.
you're giving your brain a chance to go from the amygdala, the primal brain, to where? Yes, yes. Because when your primal brain is activated, what shuts down?
Reasoning.
It shuts down, yes. And so you need to jumpstart that, and it happens with oxygen. It happens with oxygen. So if you want to react in a civilized, calm way, if that's what you're looking for, then this old adage, count to 10, actually is something that's going to work for you. You take a breath, you get oxygen to the frontal lobe, you give yourself a couple of seconds, and then you can react in a way that you're not going to regret the next day. All right? Now, since we're here and we're talking about this, and we just had that little girl being very upset, I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to ask you this question. All right? You've heard of stress. How many people here have stress in their life?
Everybody.
Everybody has stress in their life.
Sometimes.
So what is the difference between stress and distress?
Well,
I'm up.
what do you think? Well, I think stress comes from,
Distress is overwhelming.
Yes? All right, did everyone hear what Edith said? Distress is overwhelming. What if I told you that stress is good for you?
Yeah, indeed.
And distress is bad for you, but somewhere along the way, we got a little muddled in our thinking about stress, all right? Stress is something that is in our primal brain. Remember the fight or flight? Yeah? All right, so how many times in your life have you been challenged to do something? You had a job interview, or you were getting ready to take your driver's test, or think over your whole life. You had a stressful situation, but that stress prepared you to succeed, right?
Yeah.
Motivates.
It's a motivator, all right? So stress is not necessarily bad. Too much stress we call distress. If you're in distress, what do you need to do?
Calm down.
You need to get some help. You need help. That's not good. Distress is what is not good. So when you're thinking about that word, because it comes up an awful lot, stress, we think stress causes harm to our health, don't we?
Yes.
Yes. So if you're under stress, your doctor will tell you that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it affects your health. Well, I want to share with you, Harvard Medical School did a study. There were several, but I thought this would be the most impressive. Harvard Medical School did a study, and they wanted to see what stress and our belief about stress did to us, all right? And so they did this study, and the study showed that most people said that they had stress in their life, and that they believed that the stress had a negative effect on their health. Okay? Now, the results of the study, if anyone wants this, I'll send it to you. I can send it to you, the whole thing. All right, so the results of the study showed that too much stress does affect your health. But guess what else affects your health? The belief that it will affect your health. So believing that this is a bad thing for you will affect your health. So just what you think about stress will affect your health in a negative way. Isn't that amazing? It's absolutely amazing. So if you take anything away from today, actually, I really would like you to understand that if you're feeling, a little bit like your heart's going a little bit, you're challenged by something, maybe you have to have a talk with somebody that's uncomfortable, but that feeling is preparing you to succeed. If you embrace that as something that's going to help you, get you ready to take care of this, to handle this, it is a coping mechanism, and you see it that way, it's not going to have a negative effect on your health. What we believe about stress is important because it affects our health. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
So you can make yourself sick.
Yes. Yes, you can literally make yourself sick. They did a study, part of this study, it was this study at Harvard actually, and they had college students, they were going into an exam, and they gave one group a pep talk on how, what you're feeling right now. Is your, is your heart racing a little bit? Are your palms sweating? Are you, oh, that's good, because that's going to get you ready. You're going to do well on this exam. And then the other group, they didn't say anything to them. And guess which group aced those exams?
First one.
The ones that they helped them to perceive stress in a different way. So when you see stress in a different way, right, it will change the outcomes for you. All right, so stress and distress. how to identify, because I don't want anyone to walk out of here and be in distress and think, oh, this is good for me. Because it's not. Distress is not. All right, so if you're in distress, then you want to get some help. Okay, but you can see here the differences. Stress, it's short term. It improves performance. It motivates you to handle your challenges. All right, you don't need me to read this. All right? Okay, so I thought I would kind of punctuate this by sharing a little. Has anybody ever watched Brain Games
Is that on PBS?
on the History Channel?
No.
Yeah, I have grandchildren that love Brain. I've seen every single episode more than once. So that's why it came to mind. But I want to share with you what our beliefs do to us. All right? Do you think the way you believe can change your behavior, can affect your behavior? All right, let's see this little test.
Ago, we made this volunteer believe she sunk a pair of blindfolded free throws, when earlier, with no blindfold, she missed 10 in a row. How will she do her second time at the line, now that she thinks she nailed those blindfolded buckets?
Oh, close! So close. So close. That's number one. All right, keep it going. Keep it going. Oh!
She's definitely getting closer, but no baskets yet.
You got this. You got this. You got this. Oh, you.
Wow. By making her think she sank those blindfolded shots, and by cheering and giving her positive reinforcement, it's almost like we hacked her self-confidence and got her to believe more in her natural abilities. In fact, out of 10 shots this time around, she ended up making 4. Quite an improvement. But what if one of our volunteers was already good at basketball? Whoa, this guy's got game. He made a whopping 9 shots from the line. Think there's anything we could do to make him worse?
Okay. So let's have you take one shot. All right? You think you can do it, guys? All right, Josh, let's give it a shot. 3, 2, 1. Not quite, but it's all right. Let's let him try a second time. It's a tough one. All right. Let's give it a shot, Josh. All right. Well, look, the man is blind. Okay, let's go ahead and take off the blindfold. So listen, it wasn't as easy as we thought, but let's have you do your 10 throws again without the blindfold.
Okay.
Just do your thing. 9 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10.
Okay. Let's see.
You guys got his A game on? Come on, Josh. Whoa! All right, Josh. You got this, man. You got this. All right, that's 2.
Remember, this guy made 9 free throws earlier, but now it looks like the crowd's negative reinforcement is throwing him off his game.
This one on purpose.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
So you see,
we just missed that on purpose.
I think he was probably pretty determined to get that in, to prove the crowd wrong. But do you see how your belief can affect you? What you believe can affect you? Did they show her with the blindfold? I was fooling around with the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
She started out with
The first one.
Oh, she started out with the
And they
blind.
were all
Yeah.
cheering.
Yeah, they were all cheering. Yeah, so she couldn't, yeah, so
She didn't
she,
even
so,
get close to the best.
I know, so they, yeah, so they, yeah, so she was believing that she was getting it in, and that completely changed her performance after, when she took it off, then she improved dramatically, and the reverse happened with the other volunteer. So it is true, what we believe affects us. It affects us. Okay, so now for some brain basics. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, so we talk a lot about the frontal lobe. I bet you can all tell me, I bet you can all rattle off what the frontal lobe can do, right? It's the modern brain, yep.
Decision making.
Decision making, yep. Problem solving, motivation, judgment, you see all this, impulse control. So we know this one, we've been through this several times. So we're going to kind of skim over this for today because I want to focus on something else. Another part of the brain is the temporal lobe, and that is for processing sound and what? So next week I'm going to do the entire hour is going to be all on what?
Memory.
Yes, yes. All right, so we're going to put that on pause for a moment, more memory from next week. But let's take a look at the parietal lobe and what that does. We don't talk about that one too much in here, do we? So let's find out what that does. All right, so the parietal lobe is involved in what? Yeah, sensory. It's a sensory and spatial awareness and, oh my gosh, what's this? Pain. Pain. All right, why would we have something built into our brains that causes us pain? Why would we have that?
It's a warning.
Ooh, good, Trudy, yeah. If we didn't have it,
Oh.
yeah, if we didn't have pain sensory, what would happen here next?
They go right
Burn
through.
ourselves.
Yeah.
That pin would go right into the foot.
Yeah, and would you stop and bother to pull it out? Maybe not if it didn't hurt, right? Yeah, so what is the importance of pain, of having pain? Why does that stay there in our evolved?
It protects us.
It does, yes, we've got benefits. It prompts action, right? You'd take that push pin out of your foot. For one, it would make you go to the doctor, wouldn't it? Yes. If you had your hand in a fire, it would make you pull your hand away. Yeah, so nice, important things like that. So even though it's very difficult and a lot of people suffer with pain, it's something necessary that our brain does for us. It's like stress. You think of it as a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing. We need it. Okay, what about our senses? So let's think about our senses. They're interesting, aren't they? So the first one we're going to talk about is touch. Yes, I thought I would put something, sparkly and electric there for you to see. Okay, so our sense of touch. All right, it is the first sense that babies feel. It's the first sense that babies develop. All right, did you know this? There are approximately 5 million touch receptors in our skin, and how many in our fingertips? Yeah, oh my gosh, that's a lot, right? And so now if touch stimulates what?
Endorphins.
Endorphins. What are endorphins?
Feel good.
Yeah, they're chemicals that are released in the brain, right? And it gives you a good feeling. Did you know that there's more than endorphins? Look what we have. Yeah, look what we have available to us in our brains that we can release at will. All right, you don't need drugs. All right, you've got endorphins, you've got dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. Look at these great things that we've got already built into our brain to make us what?
Happy.
Yes, 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 it's already there, you don't need anything external. All right, what about sound? Okay, hearing.
Makes it possible to walk.
Hearing makes it possible to walk, yep. Yeah, I'll just give you a minute. I highlighted this. If something happens to our ears, it can potentially affect your ability to recognize flavor. And that's because it's connected, from ear to ear. Yeah, your ears are connected. Well,
Make it possible to walk. You can walk
it gives you
balance.
give you balance.
People.
Yeah, gives you, your hearing helps you with your balance. And of course, if you cannot hear, then you adapt. You would adapt. Yeah, because there are people obviously that can walk that cannot hear, but you would adapt to that. But it helps you to walk. Now, speaking of flavor, so we'll talk about taste a little bit. That's scent. All right, we have over 10,000 taste buds in our tongue, and look how often they get replaced.
So when you burn your
Wow.
tongue on pizza.
Don't worry about it, because 10 days later, you'll be all right. Yes, you can burn your tongue, and 10 days, it's 10 to, it's about 10 days to 2 weeks that it gets replenished, that they get replaced. Did you know that?
No.
Aren't we incredible? We're just these amazing beings, all these things that happen and we don't even know about it. You can blink if you have to, but just stare right here at the plus sign. And when I tell you, I want you to just lift your head up towards the ceiling and blink quickly. All right, ready, go. What do you say? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Roland, what did you
I
see?
saw the colors. Right?
You saw the color, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
They
you
were inverted.
but they were inverted. All right, but did everyone see color?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the colors?
Yeah.
What?
On the ceiling?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, try it again, Dennis. Look right here. Stare right here. You have to stare right here. I was going to say maybe you're too far away, but you're right next to Roland and he's all right.
I saw it, yeah.
All right, now just look up toward the ceiling and blink. Blink quickly.
Yeah, one blink.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see it?
They kind of moved back
Oh, that's
down.
what I'm- And
Yeah.
they inverted.
They were different spots.
Yes.
All right. All right. Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah.
All right, I've got a better one for you too. Hold on. I'm not done with you yet. All right, so it's interesting to know that what you see is based on experience. So what you're going to see is because the brain has to make sense of it, right? All right, so in the next experiment, all right, I'm going to show you something familiar, but there's also something wrong. It's familiar, but it's not quite right. All right? What's this?
Flag.
And what's wrong with it?
Wrong colors.
Wrong colors. All right, so let's do it again. I want you to stare at the plus sign in the center. And this time we're not going to lift our heads, but stare at that for a few seconds. And when I tell you, you're just going to gently close your eyes
That's cool.
It's red,
and
white,
keep
blue,
your eyes. All right, close your eyes, close your eyes.
Like,
Yeah.
it's on the screen in our mind.
All right, so why did that happen? How many people changed the red, how many people changed the yellow, green, and black to red, white, and blue?
I did.
Everybody changed, all right, so for most everyone, it changed color. All right, why did that happen? Why would it change to, you just saw 4 colors and they were the same colors that you looked at, right?
Not really.
All right, now you're seeing something that's familiar but in the wrong color. What did your brain do?
Fixed it.
Fixed it, made it the right color, the color. So we go back to this. What you see is based on what?
Experience.
Your experience. So your brain took care of this. All right, that was a problem and your brain fixed it. Isn't that amazing? Keith, did you do it while we were doing it?
I didn't get a chance, but that's pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so perceptions, how we perceive things. We know what we know, we have our experience, because how does that happen? How do we gain experience? What happens in the brain every time you have an experience? Yes, Roland?
If you look down the street, you look at the telephone wires,
Yeah,
you see them down the street a lot further than you see them. Because your brain puts them in.
oh, because your brain puts them in. Yes, yeah, your brain will fill in. Your brain will fill in the missing pieces. That is absolutely true. So the way we're gaining experience as we grow older, all right, and we're living our life, what's happening in our brain is that we are creating new cellular connections, correct? Yes, go ahead, Trudy.
When people have macular degeneration, a lot of times they have a lot of blind spots, and the brain will actually fill that in.
Oh, fill it in,
People will
yeah.
see flowers and heads, and
Yes.
they think there's something really wrong with them, but that's all the brain is doing. Is
The
just
brain
filling
is
it in.
just, yeah, the brain is making that correction.
Yeah.
It's altering it so that it does make sense, because things need to make sense. All right, so now you are building connections through your cells, through something called dendrites, and dendrites can grow in you every time you have a new experience. Did you know that? Does that ever cease, no matter how old we are?
No.
No. You are always developing new brain cells. You are always making new neural connections. And I want to take you through the inside of your brain, your magnificent, wonderful brain. And I want you to just pretend, imagine that you're in a teeny tiny microscopic spaceship, all right? And we're going to travel through your incredible brain.
Nerve cell or neuron. This neuron is shown 20,000 times larger as in reality. At this tremendous magnification, a hair would be 6 feet thick. These incredible organic chips function through electric signals. They control nearly everything we do, from thinking to moving muscles, from sensing to hearing, and even watching this video. Thin extensions at the top of the neuron are called dendrites. These dendrites receive signals from other neurons. As long as the inhibiting blue signals dominate, the neuron will remain silent. But as soon as the activated red signals dominate, an electric pulse is sent through the thick lower tube of the neuron. This tube is called the axon of the neuron. Neurons are not alone. The brains of a human contain 100 billion neurons. If we were to walk through a single human brain at this pace, it would take over 300 years to just take a glimpse at all the neurons. We are now zooming in up to a magnification of 20 million times. At this scale, a hair would be over a mile thick. Each neuron contains billions and billions of proteins. These proteins are tiny little machines, each designed to do a specific job.
Is your brain incredible or what? Isn't that amazing? Yes, it's amazing. Your eyes are amazing too. Do you know that in your eye you have cones, receptor cones, that are in 3 colors? What colors? Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Red, green, and blue. And then then there's white. There's some white rods in there, and that helps us to see variations of white and gray. Okay, so when light hits our eyes, we're able to get a spectrum like this. That's pretty great, isn't it? Isn't that nice? We can see this whole spectrum of color just from those 3 colors plus a grayscale. That's fascinating, isn't it? Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
No, it isn't. It's terrible. It's terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible, because we have a very limited scope. We really cannot see that much. Of all visible light, this is what we're able to see, right there. That's it. We can't see infrared, ultraviolet, or any of the other extreme ends of the spectrum, can we?
No.
All we can see is this.
Yeah, I'm happy.
You're happy with that?
To see enough.
All right, and then we've got another question. What percentage of what we can see do we see?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at this. I have another brain games for you. All right, play along, please.
Specifically designed to test your spatial awareness. Meet the Brain Games Double Dutch team. Now, what does jumping rope have to do with the brain? Well, Double Dutch requires off-the-chart spatial awareness. And today, these kids are going to help us test yours. For this game, all you have to do is keep track of the number of times that either of the girls in green jumps. You'll count each time one of them lands a jump, like this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
As you can see, these jumpers are pretty quick on their feet, so you're going to have to pay attention to keep up. When the whistle blows, start counting. Ready? Go. So, how many jumps did the green team make? Did you say 38? If so, you agreed with 40% of our test audience. Now, some of you may be onto us, but for those of you who aren't, did you happen to notice anything else going on during the double dutch? Maybe a giant chicken strolling right through the middle of the set and doing a funky chicken dance? Now, some of you may have missed that funky chicken, but many of you probably saw it. And that's okay, because the chicken was just there to distract you too. Here's the real question. What color was the wall behind the double dutch game? Here's a hint. It wasn't the same color at the end as it was when they started jumping. The back wall was changing color the entire time, from bright blue to bright red. Nearly everyone misses it. But why? It turns out there's far too much information coming in through the eyes at any given moment for the brain to fully process all of it. As a result, the brain has to act like a spotlight, focusing our attention on some parts of the scene but not others. Now, most of you were probably paying attention to the jumpers, and some of you may have suspected that something strange was going to happen, so you saw the chicken. But you probably weren't paying attention to the back wall. And what we don't pay attention to, we don't see. And hey, for those of you who managed to catch everything so far, did you notice that we also swapped the rope turners out halfway through? Gotcha.
Who saw the chicken? Nobody saw the chicken go through? You did, you noticed that?
I only counted 27.
You only counted 27? So, but isn't that amazing? And what he's saying is absolutely true. We cannot possibly take in all the information that is being fed in through our sight. So we have to focus on what we perceive to be important, right? We have to focus in on what, so he gave you a task to count, and that's what you had to focus in on. So we have a very little slim percentage of all that's visible. We can only see a very slim percentage of that, and in even that, we zoom in on what we perceive to be the most important, correct? All right, well, I'm going to make that even worse for you. Even worse. Do you know that we cannot see 96% of all that is? Why is that? That is because we have dark matter and dark energy. So in all the universe, the only thing we can perceive, is 4%. 4%. So we see a little slither of 4% of all that there is. How do you like that? I hope I'm not depressing you. I hope I'm not causing you distress. All right, but that, yes, so we have to understand that there's so much more. There's so much more than what we're able to perceive. All right, now even if you're focused on something, can your eyes deceive you?
Yes.
Yes, your eyes can deceive you. Let's play a few quick games. What line is longer, this one or this one?
They're the same.
They're the same, yes. But which one appears to be longer? Yes, the one on the bottom, but they are exactly the same. What do you see in this sketch?
A duck.
You see a duck? Does everybody see a duck?
A rabbit.
Who sees a rabbit? Yes. All right, yes. So you can see, if you're seeing a rabbit,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. See, this is the front of the rabbit's face, and that's the rabbit's ears. Or if you're seeing the duck, then this is the back of the duck's head, and these are the duck bills. Okay? All right, so yeah. So your eyes can deceive you. What about this? What do you see? What do you see here? An old lady or a young lady?
Oh, young lady. I see both.
You see both? Can everyone see both? Yes. If you look at it, close enough, you can see both a young lady and an older.
Oh, yes, I see the old.
You see both now? Yeah, yes. All right, now this one's very cute. What do you see? Oh, Cats are, yeah, she saw 2 cats, I'm not surprised. You're a cat person, right? Yes. All right, so you either see a dog or 2 cats, and then once you realize you can see both of them, right? You can't see the dog? This is the dog's nose. Yeah, these are the dog's ears. This is the dog's mouth. What?
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. Yes. Yes. All right. Now, should I make it even worse? Should I compound
Go for it.
Yeah, should I do that? All right, let me just make it a little bit worse. Do you know that in theoretical physics, they believe that there are extra dimensions? All right, so maybe perhaps not only what we see a tiny slither of what is visible to us in all the universe, because 96% of the universe is not visible to us. But there also might be extra dimensions that are invisible to us. Roland, you are smiling away over there. Is that yes, extra dimensions. Yes, there could be the multiverse with extra dimensions. All right, well, that's just too much of a headache, isn't it? All right, so we're going to blow through extra dimensions here. Maybe we'll do that in theoretical physics one series. All right, but there's some extra dimensions. We only know 3 plus time, right? 3 dimensions plus the dimension of time. But in string theory, it predicts that there would have to be 11 dimensions. 11 dimensions. Oh.
I'm having trouble with
You're having trouble with 3? You don't want to add any more. All right, what about depth? What about depth perception? Can that deceive you?
Yes.
Yes, depth perception can deceive you too. You're taking a look at this, okay? This photograph is the exact same thing all 4 times. It's the exact same thing all 4 times. And from what you've learned so far, what do you think is the only difference?
Light.
Light, exactly. Yes, exactly correct. Light is the only thing changing our perception of what we're seeing here. It is the exact same thing. Do artists use depth perception? Yes, artists do. They use depth perception, and I want to show you a few examples of this that might just take your breath away. Are you ready?
Great.
Have you seen this?
Yeah.
This is street art.
The street art, yes.
That's right. No, I've never seen that.
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it fascinating?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really stunning.
Oh, I hope he doesn't fall. He could fall.
But you can only see it from one point.
Oh my God.
Every single one of those paintings that I just showed you is on a flat surface. Every single one is on a flat surface. So how do they do it? With depth. That's how they do it. All right, they just angle it. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that incredible? All right, so now, what's the verdict? Did I make the human brain fun?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We'll have to tell John that I did it when we see him next week. Speaking of next week, all right, it's the one you've all been waiting for. I'm going to talk about memory, yes, and I'm hoping that I can entertain you as much, if not more, with our lecture on memory next week. All right. Yes, and I apologize. I just realized that we've gone a little bit over time, so I thank you for staying. Thank you for coming, and I will see you all next week.
Thank you.